If I was evil, I'd use your oath to my advantage, and he says that he would be up in her wet folds.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Rachel, and as you can tell, I have a special guest today talking to me about Quicksilver by Callie Hart, which is a book I did a very in-depth review of. But somebody asked that I specifically explain this absolute dumpster fire to my poor husband, and I obliged because I am nothing if not willing to use him for entertainment. This book is utterly ridiculous, and the spicy scenes especially so. This was on my worst of the year list, and it made #1 on my worst of the year list. And part of that was that the spicy scenes alone really sent me over the edge, and not in a good way, in a I am unraveling kind of way, also not in a good way. The amount of laughing that Carlos and I do in this video over the spicy scenes just goes to show that we're trying to be serious while writing those scenes, but the effect is that I'm laughing at the book, not with it. Now listen, I don't mind spicy scenes at all. I just want them written well. There's a lot of things that books lately do that I am just not happy with. The repetitive language, the weird euphemisms, the fact that the male love interest is always the biggest pipe to ever be piped. This book does the thing where it's like every man I've ever been with before was nothing compared to him. Another thing books are doing recently is this man is nothing to my vibrator. You know we don't have to compare. You know we can do both. Your vibrator is not nothing. In fact, men need to start adding them to their arsenal rather than expecting their velvet wrapped steel to be the end all greatest tool in their arsenal. And if you're looking for a good new tool, good news, because today's video is sponsored by Balesa. Balesa is giving away free vibrators or gift cards for vibrators to everyone who signs up at my giveaway link below. Balesa is a by women company for all things sexual wellness, with a mission to empower everybody, no matter who you are, to embrace and explore and celebrate their sexuality. Hopefully YouTube just thinks that this is a microphone. This is one of many tools that Balesa offers. This is the Luxe rechargeable wand, and this color is so cute. When I unboxed this, I screamed, not in like a sexual way. This has 5 distinct speed settings, a broad, flexible head that targets your sensitive areas. It is waterproof and submersible, and it is rechargeable. It just plugs in right there on the bottom, and it's literally just one button. Ta-da! One button, on or off, anybody could use this. But if that is a little too daunting for you still, because maybe you're a newbie, no problem. Balesa has products for everybody. Try the Demi Wand. This is a one-button tool. It works for all body types. It's just one button right on the top there. It is whisper quiet, compact, discreet. It charges in its case. Nobody's gonna know what it is. 100% waterproof, USB rechargeable. No annoying pattern modes. If you know, you know. Not a patterned girly. Also super flexible, look at that. But if you are not looking for something that's, you know, a little more simple, there's also the Flutter Wand. This is a dual-sided toy. That little guy simulates the experience of a tongue. Man, toys these days are getting so fancy. The suction cup on the top is removable. It is splash proof, which the main character of today's book certainly needed. And it is rechargeable. It just magnetically charges right there with its charging cable. Might seem a little daunting, but it's actually super easy to use. Whether you are a beginner or this is not your first rodeo, Balesa has a toy that's right for everybody. Make 2025 the year that you do something for yourself. Claim your gift card or vibrator by clicking the link down below. Find something to match your freak in 2025. And thank you so much to Balesa for sponsoring today's video.
Are you reading the book to me?
I'm not reading the book to you. I took copious notes. Hi, my name's Rachel, and today we're here with my husband, Carlos, who is a willing participant, and we will be... They need to know. We are here with my husband, Carlos, and we will be explaining the book Quicksilver by Callie Hart to him. He's really excited. Would you like to see the cover of this?
Shut the fuck up. Why is he crying? Are those his fucking hands?
Okay, see, when I discussed this book, I had to... No, we're gonna zoom in. What is happening with his hand? Where are his knuckles? Where are his knuckles? Further, what's that? What is that?
Does he have wings?
No. This one does not have wings. This is fairy porn, but it is not one with wings. This is an adult book. This is not a young adult book. So,
I'm out.
Similar to how Sarah J. Maas had those sex scenes where we were screaming over the mountains rumbling when Rhysand finished, this is an adult book, so there is explicit sex in it. This sold to Netflix for 7 figures in a movie deal. 7 figures. So what
what else sold for 7 figures and we haven't seen yet?
Oh, Ember. Chapter 1. Nope, sorry. We have a pronunciation guide. The pronunciation guide in this book contains...
Of course.
Contains a bunch of ridiculous words like omnashakrai and other ridiculous things, but some of them, for some reason, had periods after them There was no rhyme or reason to this. It just wasn't edited, which I want you to hold the words wasn't edited in your head because that's really the theme here. Mm-hmm. There was no editor. The editor was an imaginary friend.
How many seasons is this going to get?
It's supposed to be a movie, which is so stupid to me. You'll see.
We'll see.
It's written in first person.
Okay.
So we're in the main character's head.
I'm aware.
Hearing these feelings and these thoughts in real time. So our main character is Saris. When we are introduced to her, chapter 1, page 1, she's getting beaten up by guards in her city, which is called Zilvarin City, which I think is shaped like a circle, and in the middle there's the hub where all the rich people live. And then the Porzies are all put into different wards. Yeah, well, no, that's not literal. I'm calling them that. So the less rich people, so like the capital is the hub, and that's where the queen, Madra, lives. And there's the less rich people who live in all these different wards. Our girl Saris is from Ward 3, which is under quarantine, which we find out later why it's under quarantine. But the quarantine is bullshit. There's no reason to put them in quarantine. They're not sick people. They're just subjugated. This world that we are in has 2 suns and no moon. So it is perpetual daytime, perpetual desert, and they are low on water, which makes a lot of sense when you consider that later we're going to go to a bar, drink whiskey.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Because as we all know, it takes no water to make whiskey.
Well, it's always sunny, so I understand why they want to drink.
That's how the sun makes us feel, too. All right, so she's fighting with this guard because she was trying to steal his gauntlet, his Thanos hand, if you will, so that she can...
I don't know what a gauntlet is.
I don't know what you know.
His Thanos hand? They got Infinity Stones in there too?
Well, no. We do have sentient metal, but not cool like in Robert Jackson Bennett's book.
Yeah, I don't know. Now you lost me.
Foundry side. Oh, okay. She's trying to steal this gauntlet, and this guard is like, what ward are you in? And she's like, he would shit himself if he knew that he had Sarah's fate in his grasp. So, like, chapter 1, we set it up as, like, she's this, like, mythical figure from the 3rd. But then we just immediately abandon this like 3 chapters later where nobody knows who the fuck she is. Which I don't know how they would know who she is considering she lives in the 3rd, which is under quarantine. She steals this gauntlet. She needed the gauntlet because she needs to trade it for water. Because the 3rd's water is more rationed than everybody else because nobody likes them because they're the quarantine people.
Makes sense.
Oh yeah, and it said that the poor guard was trussed up like a feast day turkey, which begs the question... Do they have Thanksgiving here? Despite the fact that it takes an incredible...
That shit's dry.
It's the driest turkey. It's just jerky at this point. What does a feast day turkey look like in a world with no water?
Dry. They can't brine it.
There's no brining. They're not spatchcocking
They cook it in sand.
They cook it in sand. They just put it under the sand, hope it warms enough. While she's running with this Thanos hand, she notices that she can hear voices, but... If you steal a hunk of metal, right, and you're like, wow, weird, I feel like it's talking to me, what is your reaction?
I'm gonna drop it and walk away.
Yeah, I'm leaving. I'm certainly gonna question why that happened. Not Saris. Yeah. Not our main character. She's like, yep, seems about right, the metal's talking to me, keeps running.
Sounds pretty quiet to me.
This is my culture. Okay, so she gets back to the 3rd ward where she's supposed to be, in and under quarantine. How she got out, who fucking knows? Apparently they're under quarantine, but they can just leave.
Sounds like our quarantine.
It's more like COVID quarantine where it's like, please quarantine rather than like a mandate. She gets back to the 3rd ward. She has a younger brother. They're adults. They're like in their 20s, right? And so her younger brother is this super irresponsible 20-year-old, and he's at a bar. Drunk somehow.
He's just trying to hydrate.
And so he is drunk at this bar and she leaves the Thanos hand inside a bag with her drunk, irresponsible brother. So as you can see, this main character is a genius. Just nothing but constantly working brain cells.
There's no plot that'll make problems for themselves.
True. So she leaves this extremely important Thanos hand that is supposed to be their water, like the way that they get water, with her irresponsible brother.
How much whiskey did you get for it?
That's a great question. I wish I knew. Certainly the author didn't tell me. So we leave the Thanos hand with the brother. We go inside this bar. We learn information about the bar that is completely irrelevant to what we actually need to know is, how the fuck do y'all have alcohol and no water? And so...
Priorities?
So we go...
Is it rationed, the alcohol, or is it...
I told you. It's not like the author told me. I have no idea. So we go...
So unlimited alcohol, but you only get like 3 glasses of water a day?
Less! You you less than 3, and it's dirty. It's full of diseases. It's like
that's why they need the alcohol to kill the disease.
You're onto something. She goes inside the bar to talk to the guy who I think he beat up her brother. She goes inside, and it's this guy whose name, I shit you not, is Carrion Swift. Carrion, like things that vultures eat. Dead meat. Carrion Swift. She goes in and talks to him. They have fucked before, by the way. They have had a relationship. So he's constantly flirting with her and literally everybody else.
Quarantine's pretty tight.
Ward is small. Yeah. Gotta do what you gotta do. Well, he's like a supply runner.
Of course.
And he can get people out of the ward, which begs the question, why didn't he get her and her brother out?
I thought you could just leave.
Or himself, but also you could just leave. I don't know. Nothing makes sense. Nothing's explained.
You want to get smuggled out of here? Walk that way. I'll distract the guards.
Well, the guards aren't even supposed to go in the third because it's under quarantine. So who's running this shit? Apparently Carrion Swift, Taylor Swift's brother.
It sounds like they just got a lot of dumb people in there. Those idiots will never leave. Just tell them they're in quarantine. Fuck! Quarantine again? Never in my 20 years of living here.
This is a genius plan, actually. And you know what? That actually makes sense because Saris is really stupid. She would fall for it. Well, they said it. Quarantine again. I don't know how we'll possibly get out of here. Okay, so she was like, you weren't supposed to mess with my brother, Carrion Swift, and I wasn't going to mess with your supply lines. And I'm like, this is a great time to tell us how those supply lines work. Afraid not.
How's she gonna fuck with the supply lines?
That's the other question.
Oh wait, she's kind of a big deal in this war. They didn't even know who they got.
You left your gauntlet with your really stupid brother, but you think you can mess with like a crime lord
supply? My gauntlet's in that bag talking so much shit.
I really just don't understand how there's this smuggling ring where they're smuggling in alcohol, but then like he's like, Saris, have a drink with me, and hands her a full glass of one of these of whiskey. Okay, so that's what, 8 ounces probably?
16.
16 ounces of whiskey.
A full glass? Like what kind of glass?
Well, it didn't. Do you think this book is going to tell me?
Well, standard glass will be like 8 ounces.
Okay,
but like if you're talking like a beer, it's like 16, 20.
So water is rationed. She stole the gauntlet hoping to bargain for more water, but then just walks into a bar and gets a full glass of whiskey.
You know, it takes water to make whiskey.
That's what I said. How did you grow the grain to make whiskey in a place?
Not even just that, even in the distilling process.
But first you have to get the grain. Mm-hmm. So you have to grow the water.
And the sand.
In the sand?
Is it sand whiskey?
Is it sand whiskey? She asks.
He asks.
Well, mutual asking. Okay,
we asked?
Okay.
We asked?
She asks on behalf of her husband. And I don't know how they're buying anything because all of these people are very poor, so I don't know how they're getting money to buy whiskey in the first place.
Gauntlets.
Yes, but like we've established that they're stupid even though they can also leave, so how is this working?
I already paid.
Carrion Swift, the crime lord, is like, somehow he heard that someone, brought a gauntlet back to the third ward. I don't know how he knows this immediately, but
he's a smuggler.
He does.
He knows everything that's been smuggled. I guess so. The gauntlet told him.
Gauntlet's been talking shit, as we've
just
established.
Screaming in that bar. She brought me in here!
The gauntlet is
I'm in the bag!
The gauntlet is the real victim.
I feel bad for the gauntlet.
I feel bad for the gauntlet.
Poor guy misses his friends.
We're assigning the gauntlet a personality like Clef from Foundry Side. Yeah. That's what's going on here. The gauntlet is like something that could get them all in trouble. He's like, they would come in here and they would just start killing people in the third ward. So let's smuggle it out. This goes nowhere. In fact, the entirety of the beginning of the book is pointless. Her brother, when she goes outside, is gone with the gauntlet. They're gone. So she runs, trying to go find him, and she's like running around the third ward. We randomly hear bits and pieces about random people in the third ward who never come up again. All of this is pointless. She hears in the distance piercing cry that is distant and muted. How can it be piercing, but also be distant and muted at the same time?
You mean like shrill? Is it just shrill and far?
I mean, if first of all, you're in a city. I don't need to explain further. I don't know how
That's loud, I think. It's loud if I was over there. Man, that'd be loud if I was closer. It's like hearing dubstep in the distance.
So somehow she just knows this is about her brother. This distant and muted but piercing cry is like, that's my brother. That has to do with my brother. So she runs around the third ward, finds her brother. He's surrounded by guards. The guards have Hessian cloth over them because they're trying to prevent getting sick with whatever sickness the third ward has. But at some point...
I don't want to catch the dumb.
At some point, the common people, including the guards, In fact, everyone would have to start questioning, why is it that nobody seems sick? There is no evidence of this sickness, but...
They're not sick, they're just dehydrated and drunk. Oh, that's why they're dumb. They're just drunk.
They're just drunk.
We all get that, you know. We've all done that. Been there.
So she pulls a weapon on the guards, and...
Bold move.
It was a stupid move, because now she's going to get arrested. And she yells at her brother, and she's like, you're worthless, and you are... a burden.
And let his ass get arrested. Walk off.
Well, she's trying to get him to leave. Just imagine being the guard in this situation where you have to arrest these siblings and they're fighting mid-arrest. And the guards are like one sibling is being like, you're a burden. And the other's like, wow, I didn't know I was such a pain. I'm so sorry that I've been nothing but trouble for you. And the guards are standing there like, do we do something?
Yeah. Arrest them both.
For being annoying.
Who cares?
Drunk and disorderly.
Put him in the same cell.
Let him figure it out. So she gets arrested. He doesn't.
Of course.
She gets taken to the queen. Queen Madra is 1,000-year-old...
To the queen?
To the queen.
Over this?
Over this.
All right.
Listen, don't ask logical questions. You'll unravel it.
I just feels like she's a bit of a micromanager.
Well, she's
She hasn't appointed anyone to do this for her?
Apparently not. Well, she's 1,000 years old. But that's the thing is, they believe that Fey existed, but that they died out long ago. Any magic use is forbidden, and if you find out about magic use, you're supposed to report it. But the queen is 1,000 years old. So they never question, how is the queen 1,000 years old? Is she a magic user? Why does she arrest magic users if she's also using magic to stay alive for 1,000 years? They just don't think about, why is she 1,000 years old?
The Dragon Balls. It's the only thing that makes sense.
How did you know?
Is it an egg?
No, this isn't.
Is there an egg in this story?
This isn't Lightlark. This isn't Lightlark.
The third book just released.
Wow. How'd you know about that?
We were at the bookstore yesterday.
Oh, right. We saw it. Oh, that's right. And
Yeah.
You said... What did you say?
I don't remember.
You said, not you throwing sky shade.
Yeah. It was a good joke.
It was a good joke. Queen Madra in particular treats the third ward like shit. And when Ceres was a kid growing up, she idolized Queen Madra for some reason, even though her mom hated
She's
her.
a queen, 1,000 years old.
Okay, fair. But as she got older, she's like, the third ward gets treated like shit. We get dirty water if we get any water rationed to us. And
you're lucky to get what you get.
And they've been on quarantine for a really long time. And
Let me guess, magic would save this world?
Yes.
Just trying to guess where this...
Who's magic?
Huh?
Who's magic?
I don't know.
The main characters.
Oh, she has magic?
Well, the gold talks to her.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it was sentient.
Oh, I wish. I mean, it is, but only an alchemist can hear it.
Alchemy's so cool.
Not in this book. So Queen Madra is like, who taught you how to fight? Because apparently, if you know how to fight, then that must mean the Fae are here? I don't know. And
we got hands.
It's
not hard.
She's like, did the Fae train you? And Ceres is like...
Oh, it might be, because our kids are...
Our kids fight like this. They fight like the cats.
They were trained by cats.
They were trained by our cats. Also, the kicking has started, so they started going with the legs.
You're talking about our kids?
Our kids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, our kids, they scream, but then they also get in there with a leg.
That's how he pushes.
Mm-hmm.
Our older one pushes.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't push, he just straight kick to the chest.
She's alluding to that the only way that Ceres could know how to fight is because the Fae trained her. There are no Fae in this world. Ceres is like, oh, the Fae? What else does she believe in? Ghosts? Which is silly because the Fae did exist. They just don't exist here anymore. Like a dodo bird.
The queen's the last one.
It's like a dodo bird. They went extinct. It's not that... Well, no, they specifically say the queen is human, but they don't offer any evidence that she is human.
She's probably just drinking all the water.
She's really hydrated. That's why she's 1,000 years old. Okay, so Madra is like, the 7 cities rejoice when I cast the Fae out, and the Fae want these lands back. What do you think they're gonna do? She's like, what are the Fae gonna do to me since, they're here training you? What are they gonna do to me? And Ceres is like, I don't know, kill you?
You know what always gets me about these books? How the fuck are you driving out anybody?
I don't
How are
know.
Humans beating anybody?
I don't
in these
know.
Worlds? You got these books with dragons and shit. And it's like, yeah, we got them out. The dragon people.
That really
How?
just shows the hubris
How?
there. Like how we really think we could
It's
do
like
that?
the Fae that have magic and are way smarter than us. We drove them out. How?
We don't even last out each other. We kill each other quickly. An outside force.
It's just weird. All these stories that are like this.
Well, the other thing, this is what I thought you were gonna say. The answers were just spoon fed to our main character. So Madra is saying that she was the one that drove out the Fey, and that now she's scared of them coming back, and that if people are learning to fight, it's because the Fey are teaching them and they're going to rise up against her. You just got spoon-fed the answers.
It's like the word Fey is just thrown out there for everything.
Mm-hmm.
No? It's like a pit pocket. Did the Fey teach you that?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Fey magic? You stealing?
It's a buzzword now.
It's like with whenever you do anything, it's the demons.
It's the demons, yeah.
It's
or it's
Fey.
Marxism.
It's the Fey.
Fey is the new Marxism.
Fey is the new Marxism.
So the Queen Madra just flip-flops and says, never mind. I guess the Fae aren't coming back. I don't know. She's just presented as like this really stupid and weird character who's also 1,000 years old and was able to single-handedly drive out the Fae on her own. But also like this thing that we've set up now where she's afraid of the Fae is going to get completely retconned at the end of the book. 100% retcon. So she tells her guard to kill Saris and go back to the third and kill all the other people because she says, Saris, you're a rat. You kill one and it will have spurned 10 more. The word you were looking for is spawned. Spawned 10 more.
Yeah, I'm not good with English.
Neither is the author. This book sold for 7 figures to Netflix.
It spurned 7 figures?
So she gets taken away to a different room where there just so happens to be a sword stuck in the floor.
Fey? Oh.
It's a Fey sword. There's a sword stuck in the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Why they took her to this particular room...
Excalibur?
Basically.
Excalibur.
Light Lark haunts us, doesn't it? So this particular room has this very particular sword stuck in the floor. Anybody could pull that motherfucker out. Literally anybody. It's not a King Arthur situation. Anybody could pull that sword out. There is no...
Not if it's sleeping.
This woman is 1,000 years old. She doesn't want the sword to get pulled up out of the floor. So you would think that she would build something around it to prevent it from getting pulled up out of the floor. She just...
And this is a person that drove out magical creatures?
Yeah. Naturally.
These terrifying, powerful
Absolutely.
magical creatures?
Yes. Yes. So Saris gets led into this room by the guard, who then skewers her with a different sword. Mm-hmm. Okay?
It says, don't touch that.
Don't touch that other sword.
You stay here, but don't touch that.
You get skewered. Don't look at... No, pay no attention to this sword on the other part of the room.
What sword? Exactly.
I ask you, what sword? And it would have made sense if, like, it's only visible to certain people. No, it's visible to everybody. It would have made sense, like, oh, it's only visible to an alchemist, and she's an alchemist. No, it's just stuck in the floor. She's about to get stabbed again. The sword knife stops, and it says that the tip of it quivered. Just the tip of it. The knife. Like it's wiggling its nose at her.
Ooh. I'm coming.
It stops and then it melts. This is because there's Quicksilver in the metal.
The guard is shocked.
And she can control Quicksilver. She doesn't know this until right now, even though the metal's been talking to her the whole time.
The book.
Yeah, that's the name of the book. Oh!
Whoa.
Well, she doesn't know it's Quicksilver yet.
But we know.
But we know. The metal turns into a liquid. It starts climbing up the guard, and he's like, no, don't let it take me. These are really good. I should be an actress. I need to pursue acting.
Quit acting.
I need to quit acting. It's crawling up the guard, and she notices the sword. Just happens to be in the road. Goes and she pulls the sword, and the guard is like, no, Saris, don't open the gate, don't turn the key, which is part of the synopsis for this book. Is the beginning of it says, don't open the gate, do not turn the key. This is not a thing that gets like told to us throughout the book.
Is he fucking Hodor?
Yes. So he's getting like swallowed by this liquefied metal, and man, I'm as stupid as these people in the third. The metal swallowing him, and she goes to stab him with the sword that she pulled up like she King Arthur'd it. Well, then out from the floor that where the sword was, now there's a Quicksilver pool, and up comes a man, the man on the cover.
The guy who's crying.
Quicksilver? Yes, but doesn't it kind of look like jizz?
Is it the glitter cum?
Is it the glitter cum? I'm haunted by the glitter cum.
Is he hot?
Did you see the cover?
Is he a shadow daddy?
Did you just ask me, is he a shadow daddy?
Yeah. Does he do shadows?
My note literally says on the next page, BTW, he's a shadow daddy. And I was going to ask you, what kind of magic do you think he has before saying that? It's literally shadow magic.
Blood magic?
It's literally shadow magic.
Why is it always shadow magic?
Okay, see, I was going to prove a point where I was going to say before I was going to ask him, what kind of magic do you think he has? He got there.
Well, I was part of that government study.
Oh yeah, you were in the gifted program.
Yeah, I was in the...
Now you can predict things before they happen.
I keep saying that and I think Madara. I'm like, Madara's in this book?
Holy shit, it's getting good.
The guy comes up out of the pool and is the guy on the cover. So he looks like a front man for Screamo bands that we listened to back in 2009. Okay?
It's like Bless the Fall.
Or perhaps Alisana. I'm about to make an Alisana joke.
Oh.
Comes up out of the pool and he's like, where is Madra? Madra's obviously not in the room with us. But the kid...
Holy shit, slow down, mommy issues.
He does have those. And of course, it's yet another thing that you predicted.
Yeah.
God damn it! So she turns to the guard, the sword in her hand.
Is he still fighting the
He is.
liquid?
He is.
Ah.
It's very slowly climbing up him. Okay, he doesn't have any napkins to wipe it off with. He's terrified.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Oh, slow down.
Stop. It's getting good.
So she turns to the guard and she has the sword and she says, this is the part where you are supposed to scream.
Shut the fuck up.
This is the part where you are supposed to scream.
Anywhoosie.
That should be your outro song for this video. To the guy that's been screaming the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the part? Sorry, I jumped the gun a little. Got some liquid metal trying to kill me.
He has, up to this point, probably already been screaming. And yet she tells him again. So it is like the Alisana song. She is given the guy on the cover. I'm just going to tell you now. His name is Kingfisher. Not Kingfisher. Sorry. Kingfisher. Like the bird. So Kingfisher hands her a necklace. Aw, jewelry. Already. Romantic.
A woman that he just met.
Yes. He says to her, try not to die or some shit. And he puts this necklace on her and then sends her and him into the Quicksilver pool. So they have just portaled. Everything that just happened in the 35 minutes that I've been explaining it to you, all of that was irrelevant. We are now going to portal to another world and everything.
So he pops out, sees a woman about to murder someone, and goes, come with me. Okay. That's all I need to know?
Yeah.
Okay. What about Madara?
She'll pop up at the end, not afraid of the Fey at all. The Fey that she was saying are going to come kill her, she'll be hanging out with them. It doesn't make any sense.
Makes sense.
To who? People from the third?
Yeah.
The next chapter opens while she's waking up. Her monologue telling us things is, there was this one time that it rained. It never rains in Sylvarin City. But the one time the heavens opened up and there was just flooding and I was cold then. I wasn't cold now. I was cold once.
I was cold once.
I wasn't cold now.
And this warmth that I've been feeling remains.
No, see, you're trying to write it to fix it. It can't be fixed.
No, like,
it's too late.
No, I get it.
Oh, I understand what's being said.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that what's being said is stupid.
Yeah.
I was cold once. Not now, though. Not now.
You weren't before.
You were getting rained on in the desert.
And since then, you've been experiencing warmth.
Later, though, she says that he smells like a midnight forest, which I'm going to come back to, but I just want to know, how do you have midnight in a land with 2 suns and no sunset? Yeah.
A place where it's never night.
A never night, like the J. Kristoff book. Another thing that
Gonna
haunts
have
me.
to cut that out, too.
We'll see. Okay, so she wakes up on a bed and a very beautiful Fey woman, whose name is Everlane, is there. And she sees her ears and she's like, oh, you're Fey! Ew, Fey are gross and dirty. And the Fey is like, well, you're the ones who carry diseases, so no.
You don't have water. I know that booty stinks.
You don't shower.
I know that
So
shit stinks.
You're one to talk. We'll come back to the no showering thing. So she remembers the guy who took her into the Quicksilver pool. And she says...
Who could forget?
Who could forget that face?
Yeah.
She says, a wave of heat swept over me, making my mouth sweat. Making my mouth
Sweaty.
sweaty. I didn't know a mouth could sweat.
Me either.
I'm not a doctor.
I bet she didn't know until then.
There
Maybe
was
if she was hydrated.
Yeah, I'm not sure how...
How do you sweat with no water?
Maybe she's confused because her mouth doesn't typically water. Maybe that just is a line showing us that our suspicions were confirmed and she is in fact fucking stupid.
Yeah, she thinks it's sweating. She's all she's familiar with.
She's like Ariel when Ariel used a fork as a hairbrush. She tells Everlane, the Fey woman, this beautiful blonde Fey woman, whoever fan casted this on Fancast website chose Dakota fanning.
Oh,
So
perfect.
you can just picture Dakota Fanning.
Perfect.
She tells Everlane, hey, before I fell asleep, before whatever happened to me, 'cause she's been asleep for days, and she got skewered, so they've been healing her, right? She was a kebab. She's like, all right, I've been healed, and also, before I passed the fuck out, there was a man. And Everlane, I want you to note how specific this is. Specifically says, not a man, a male, because they're not human, they're Fey. I've complained to you about this before several 7,000 times. They're not human, they're Fey, so they don't go by man and woman. They go by male and female. That is a very specific thing to say. That's very specific lore that you're writing into your book. But instead of staying with the lore, Callie Hart forgets this in the next chapter. This gets immediately forgotten because in the next chapter she's like, good thing you have long hair. Long hair is a sign of like high status amongst Fey women.
Fuck that up.
Editing where?
Yeah, quick edit. Control F.
Well, another thing is, she obviously went into this book to take out the word years, 100 years, and instead of taking out 100 years, she only took out the 100, and she replaced it with century. So several times in this book it says
don't
century.
Control F anymore.
Don't Control F anymore. You're
Don't
fucking it up. So she's like, I need to go home. I need to go back to Sylvarin City. I don't know where I am. I need to go home because my brother is probably arrested at this point. Madra said she was going to arrest.
Piece of shit.
He stole the Thanos hand. Well, I just don't understand why Madra was like, after Saris got arrested, was like, you're all rats. Kill them all. Why didn't she do that before? If she feels that way, it only happened after Saris got arrested. So Everlane reveals that her dad is the king. His name is Belcon. And she's like, listen, Saris, he's not going to let you go. You're going to have to hang out here. But then she just fucks off like 3 days later.
She could just walk out.
She just leaves, yeah. Yeah, just like in the third ward.
That's pretty consistent.
It's a theme, you could say.
Pretty consistent writing. You can't leave. Watch me. How did she do that?
Oh my god, she just walked away. She learns little by little about the Pantheon. The Pantheon used to inhabit this realm, but then they fucked off. And they're not in this realm anymore. So all the gods are gone. And the king, when she goes talk to him, King Bellicon is like, yeah, you're not allowed to leave. Fuck you. You're staying here. We need you to help us win the war. And now bring in the prisoner. And the prisoner is the guy.
He just got released from the sword prison or something.
They bring in the guy whose name again is Kingfisher. Everybody hates him. They're like, oh, it's the bane of our existence. He'd kill you as soon as look at you. He killed all those people.
But damn, he's fine.
He's so fine.
I said that.
And a seer says, Bellicon, you can't kill him or it won't appease the gods. And so King Bellicon's like, okay, well, now what can I do with him? I wanted to kill him real bad.
You can't kill him. He's too handsome.
A guy named Renfis walks up and he's like, send him back to the front. And they're like, who the fuck said that? So in walks this 7 foot tall dude named
Who said that?
This 7 foot tall dude named Renfis. Kingfisher is also 7 feet tall, don't worry.
Jesus Christ.
He can't be the
How
tallest.
did they lose to humans?
The love interest can't be shorter than another hot guy that wouldn't be allowed.
She like 5 foot nothing?
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure she's 4'11". Yeah, she's short and sweet. She's Sabrina Carpenter. Renfis is like, send him back to the front. He was the one that started the war, so just send him back to college. And
Who are they fighting?
I'm so delighted to tell you this. It's a country called Santos Roth, which is run by vampires. I know you're thrilled to hear that. Try to contain it. Okay, so
There's vampires? And these humans? Tell me that they're in an open air prison and they think that they have their freedoms?
I mean, that's certainly what it feels like, but then again, why would Madara want that? Because later, she is aligned with the Fae.
To keep the humans at bay, I don't know.
But we've established that humans are rats. None of this makes any sense.
Keep all the rats. Keep all the rats in Madra's little trap. You keep them. It's like Attack on Titan.
But that's a story that makes sense.
Yes.
Allegedly, Kingfisher started the war, and this is partly why he has...
He was fucking one of the vampires. He was fucking the vampire queen.
Oh my god.
That's how the war started?
No, but this is gonna kill you to learn. I'm just gonna tell you now. The vampire king, his name is Malcolm.
You've never been scared of somebody named Malcolm.
Malcolm later shows up and he's like, Fisher, I miss you so much. And it gets weirdly like he's into Kingfisher.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, so you made the one bisexual man the predator?
Mm.
It's not a vampire queen, it's a vampire king. And he is like a predator.
That's why the war started though? Because of some dick?
No. Why did the
dick?
war... I mean, I'm sure that the war started over Fey Dick.
Oh, if it's his fault.
It's It's more about, like, Santos Roth keeps former humans as, like, prisoners because there's no humans anymore in this realm. They're all...
Vampires are starving.
Yes, the vampire stuff is real confusing. There's things called feeders, which used to be humans, and they're like foot soldiers for the vampires, but then there's also like other Fey can get bitten by vampires and turn into vampires, but you can keep some of them as like prisoners where they are enthralled to you, and so they're like wanting you to feed on them or like essentially sexually assault them, and then eventually they die, or you turn them into a vampire.
Okay.
The vampire lore is terrible here. He's partly hated because he started the war. What started the war was like he killed a town of people or something, but like he's a good guy, it's revealed, and it was just an accident. So after this, they immediately stopped treating him like a prisoner. He could literally just leave.
Of course.
Yes, it's a theme.
You probably could have left from the beginning.
Probably.
No one's watching any of this.
So he just gets to run around acting like he is not a prisoner. He doesn't live in a cell. He went from being hated and like almost executed to he's just running around this castle. Belicon's like, you're gonna help this human for the next week figure out how to commune with the Quicksilver because we need an alchemist. And then after a week, you're going back to the front and you'll die there. It's a really good plan by a king who definitely makes good plans.
Mm-hmm. I can see why they commune with Matra.
After this, they leave the throne room, and she notices that he has Quicksilver in his eyeball, like in the iris, in his very green eyes.
Missed opportunity.
In his very green
I
eyes.
thought they were gray.
Damn. No, not everybody can be Elias Soterius. So in his very green eyes is Quicksilver, and she's like, oh, how'd that get there?
Let me get a...
We got a little something.
Let me just get a little...
She talks to him, and he explains his name is Kingfisher.
You could change your name at any time, Betty.
It's a cry for help.
I'm Kingfisher. What was that? Kingfisher. Like one word?
Well, what happens when he actually becomes a king? His name is King Kingfisher?
Are you telling me what's going to happen?
Well, she's going to become queen of the vampires. Oh, he is going to fuck the queen of the vampires.
It all happens.
Oh my god, you predict everything. Damn.
Yeah, the government program really helps.
There's a quirky librarian guy, of course there is. Ceres must have a drop of Fey blood because Solus, the sword that King Arthur, would have never let her touch it otherwise. So Solus...
that's why it's stuck there.
Well, and so Solus...
No one else could touch it.
Solus was used by King Madra to seal the Quicksilver paths between worlds. So the reason why nobody could travel and why Madra was sealed off in Zilvaran City was because she used Solus, the sword, which also was a sword that belonged to Kingfisher's father, who's dead, to seal the pathways. Nobody could travel. So she sealed herself off from the Fae. I don't even know why. And was scared of them for like 1,000 years. And then it opens, and then suddenly she's like, not scared of them anymore.
My friends.
my friends.
Welcome back.
So now the pathways are open, and they're like, this could mean more. How many soldiers does Madra have? Ceres is like, well, my brother could be conscripted. I have to go back. And that begs the question, like, why wouldn't Madra have already been conscripting, especially from the Third Ward, where all these people are subjugated? She could have said, if you conscript, then you can have more water for you and your family. It's like, this is a basic question.
Fuck, I didn't think of that.
Editor where? So then, oh my god, this man walks up to her and says, all right, O'Shellith, which is a butterfly that dies after one day. So he starts calling her O'Shellith and then later shortens it to OSHA, like occupational safety hazards. This book is an OSHA violation. So he says, all right, O'Shellith, Everlane isn't going to let go that you don't know enough and we need to give you information. So I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version.
They have those there?
Apparently the Quicksilver portals portaled in Cliff What's-His-Nuts from our world in the 1940s, and he portaled in and he typed up some Cliff Notes books for them. Yeah.
They learn about other people by looking up their Wikipedia pages also? If we look at the wiki.
So he explains there's no humans now, and the Fae have like long canines, and like sometimes they want to drink blood, but like there's actual vampires that actually drink blood that are also, they used to be Fae. And the
fuck?
Yeah. Don't ask. The Quicksilver pools, I just work here, okay?
I just live here.
The Quicksilver pools are these volatile pathways between realms, and he was forced once to travel through one without his special necklace on, and that's why he has jizz in his eye. Quicksilver,
yeah.
sorry.
That's how that got there.
How'd that get there? Whoopsie doopsie. He was forced to by his stepdad, Belicon.
Good thing it was just his eye.
Everlane and Fisher get into a fight, and she's like, I wish sometimes that you weren't my brother. So the audience is supposed to be like, oh, they were siblings. So Everlane and Fisher, not like, I wish sometimes you weren't my brother, like, I wish sometimes you weren't my brother. But like, I wish sometimes you were my brother, you dick. Just in case that wasn't clear, because I know I read a lot of incest books too.
Don't have to admit that. But then
It's
again,
for work! This is when it gets revealed to Saris that Everlane and Fisher are half-siblings. Bellicon is not his dad. Bellicon had his dad killed by sending him to the front lines. But then also blamed the war on Bellicon's dad? Wait, no, on Fisher's dad, which doesn't make sense, because how can he... If he sent him to the front lines, then how did he also start the war? I don't know.
you know I don't.
We just work here. And so the Quicksilver makes you, like, lose yourself, makes you go mad, right? So it being in his eye, he, like, has these, like, volatile outbursts sometimes. He just has anger issues. He needs to go to Fey anger management. That's all.
Probably pretty painful.
Are you defending him?
He's just irritable. A shadow daddy stick together. You know how you get when you get headaches?
Don't give him that benefit of the doubt. So she realizes that he doesn't in fact have shadow magic, so I don't get to reveal to you, oh, what kind of magic? Because you already figured it out, because that's how fucking predictable these books are.
They're all the same.
He's so similar to Rhysand. He has shadow magic. He was away for 100 years. Meanwhile, his friends were waiting for him to return. He came back not the same anymore after being traumatized and sexually harassed, just like Rhysand. And then when he gets home, he goes back to his mother's apartment, just like Rhysand used to. Oh, and he's the leader of a city, but he doesn't want to be the leader because he doesn't feel like he's worthy. Tired.
I'm exhausted.
So we keep getting these hints that he was gone for 100 years and something bad happened. So she starts asking him questions about this. He won't answer. He's like, none of your fucking business.
And it's one of those, he's old as shit and she's like 20.
Yes.
As if you could outrun me.
As if you could outrun me. As if you could fight me off. She finally starts asking questions regarding, like, Madra, like, how is she so old? How has she reigned so long? But unfortunately, instead of R-E-I-G-N-E-D, reigned, it says reigned.
Oh, there's...
Like a horse.
Oh. I thought you meant like rainfall.
No, she was cold once. She's not cold now.
I was going to say, there's no water in this world. You can't be raining.
They get into a verbal fight. Of course they do, because it has to be enemies to lovers, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, all you do is lie. You would probably lie about how big your cock is. And
He's just like, no, I wouldn't.
no, he's like, are you asking to see it? I just want to point out.
Did she bathe yet? Is there still no water?
No, and he is specifically going to ask her not to bathe during sex.
All right.
In this argument about how big his dick is, he says, it's big enough to make you scream and then some. This feels like something that a man messages you on Twitter when you make fun of him.
This is some like YouTube comment section.
I would know.
I can see it now. Anime profile picture.
That's so specific and true.
It always is. Why don't you show yourself? Why do
I
you
don't
hide,
need to.
Why do you hide behind a picture of Killua on your Twitter?
She's like, all right, so Bellicon said that you raised a city. Renfist says that you've been suffering for the past century years. Direct quote. Because you were banished, where did they send you? And he says, hell.
Watch the movie actually be kind of good. And then people go back to read the book and they're like, what the fuck is that?
I didn't have a choice but to raise that city. And no, I won't elaborate because I'm Broody. Bellicon, he reveals like Bellicon sent his dad off to die and then married his mom and then had Everlane. And later it's going to be revealed that Bellicon straight up murdered his wife because he's just evil.
Murder?
He's eating cheese in her room to annoy her. And she sees
So he just likes all the funky smells. Is it Famunda?
He's eating cheese in her room to be annoying, and she sees his canine teeth. And she immediately gets horny.
She starts sweating.
Her vagina sweats. He can smell it because he's a fae.
Yeah, I got that. And probably because she hasn't showered.
And also because I don't believe she has showered yet. And he's like, I've fucked plenty of humans. They're so fragile. If I held you down and fucked you the way I want to, I doubt you'd survive.
I am gonna die.
I just feel like that's assault. That's an admission of guilt. But what it's not is romantic. I don't get it. I don't like love interests like this at all.
But this is how they're always written, so...
Yes, that's why I hate all of them. That's why in my alternate universe, I plot their murders. They're gruesome.
I can't wait for this dude to die. Turns page.
There are several books that recently I have reviewed saying, I think I showed you one, where I said, by the end, I was just wishing for bad things to happen to these people.
Mm-hmm.
I stand by that. I want bad things to happen to him. Slowly.
That was this book?
I want the Quicksilver to take over his whole body, in fact. Mm-hmm. And then he says, oh my god, I can't believe I have to read this out loud. I'm thinking about drinking that sweet nectar you're making for me straight from the cup.
You need to get her a glass of water.
They make out. She steals his ring, which he claimed was another relic that he could use to travel through pools. Because remember, he put his necklace on her, and then he was like, oh yeah, I was able to travel because I had this ring on. The ring's a phony. But she doesn't know that. She steals it from him while they're making out. So then she fucks off, finds a Quicksilver pool in the castle that they're hanging out in. Mm-hmm. She tries to travel in it, and he's like, stop! And he stops her with his shadow magic, because don't forget, he's a shadow daddy. Mm-hmm. And he's like, that's not even a real relic, you fucking idiot! Not a direct quote. It was implied. And he's like, well, I'm able to travel through because my mind is an impenetrable vault! Actual quote that time.
Just screams toxic masculinity. He would love raw dogging a flight.
Oh my god!
Or whatever the fuck they're calling it.
Rest in peace, Fisher. You would have loved raw dogging a flight.
12-hour flight. No TV. No headphones.
No headphones, no book. You just stare straight ahead.
He would love that shit.
That's the most accurate comparison you've ever made. She makes a Fey bargain with him where she's like, alright, I can't go in the Quicksilver pool and check on my brother. Then he's like, okay, you make a bargain with me, a blood oath, that you have to do whatever I say. Which immediately no, when it's a Fey involved. I think we all know the basic Fey lore, that is, never make a bargain with a Fey.
I don't know anything about that.
Oh.
It wasn't part of my curriculum.
Tells her, you have to do whatever I say, and I will go into the Quicksilver pool. I will go to Zilvaran City, and I'll go get your brother. I'll be able to track him by scent. So she uses her blood. They make a blood oath. He goes in to track her brother by the blood. Mm-hmm. Except when he comes back with Carrion Swift, Taylor Swift's brother, which is decidedly not her brother. Mm-hmm. The guy that she fucked. Don't worry. Also not incest. Not her brother.
Okay. Oh, he wasn't smelling the blood. He was smelling that because they don't shower.
The fact that you know is funny, but also depressing.
Smell that coochie on him.
So they... They have Carrion, and he's like, well, she's like, this isn't my brother, this is Carrion Swift. And he's like, I did my bargain. Which, no, he didn't. He didn't fulfill his end of the bargain. Somehow, the magic still holds up. She has to do whatever he says now. And so he's like, we're leaving. Come on, let's go. And they leave, just like she leaves the third ward. They're just leaving the castle with Carrion Swift, who is still unconscious.
Okay.
Unconscionable certainly is this book. They're on their way to Kalish, which is Kingfisher's city that he's the lord of. Mm-hmm. He explains that he tracked Carrion down. He tracked the scent from 3 miles away.
They all stink.
They stink. But it's very specific to her. And in fact, he says, I'd know that scent anywhere. I'd know it blind and in the dark. I'd know it across a sea.
Nope.
We think it's funny. It's supposed to be sexy. Mm-hmm. He's tracking another man by the smell of her vag. He would be able to do this across a sea.
And as he's saying it, he's like, I can smell it now.
Yeah, and she's like... Oh my god.
Stop it. You're making it sweat.
If you said this to me, we're done. I'm not talking to you anymore.
Right.
If you said it unironically, if you said that to me, that would be me like, I don't know, switching it up on you and deciding that the way I'm going to flirt with you is by talking to you like a little baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're done.
Muck duck.
Goodbye. Never. In Kalish, I'm going to skip a few pieces. In Kalish, which is his realm, his friend Renfus, who was like, send him to the front, 7 foot tall guy. He was like, I feel real bad that he made that blood bargain with you. That was so shitty. So I told him he should have dinner with you. And I'm like, wow, what a consolation. Yeah, you're right. He tricked me into a blood oath. Now I have to obey his every command. And you're right. You telling him he should have dinner with me does in fact make me feel better. You fixed it.
We've been eating dinner together for the past week.
He's been eating cheese in my room.
And not my cheese.
Not my cheese. At this dinner, they get attacked by feeders, which are the vampire foot soldiers. So he uses this as an excuse. She gets attacked, she gets wounded. Of course, she gets wounded like several times. So she has to stay in bed, and whose bed is she staying in?
There was only one bed.
There was only one bed available, and it was his. And his room, of course, if you had to guess, how do you think his room is decorated?
Pink.
You're right.
Lots of dead flowers.
No, it's all black All black everything.
What?
Yeah, I know.
I never guessed.
This is
No
shocking.
bronze?
No bronze.
I like it.
Well, yeah, you know, you're an actual shadow daddy. Black is your favorite color. This man is emulating you. In fact, you should sue for impersonation, copyright
We are nothing
infringement.
alike.
I just
I'm about to
disagree.
sue you for defamation.
Slander. She's like, this was just an excuse to get me into your bed. And he's like, oh, I wouldn't need an excuse. I wouldn't need an excuse. I think that by the time that you and I end up in bed together, you'll beg me to fuck you.
Nope.
And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna beg you to be silent immediately.
Please let me shower. They don't need to be sharing a bed. He needs to let her use his bathroom.
You know who does take a bath is Carrion, but in moss. You want to know why?
Mm-mm.
To get the smell of her vagina off him.
Smart. Well, that was his first bath.
Ever.
Probably.
Kingfisher specifically ordered a bunch of certain kind of fae to come in and wash Carrion with moss because he was so sick of smelling Ceres's vagina on Carrion.
Mm.
And then Carrion had a threesome with the nymphs that moss washed him.
Perfect.
This is going to be classic literature in 50 years.
This is going to be a movie.
Why did you have to bring that up?
You started it.
I hate you.
That was the intro.
Okay, so Carrion says, I demand that you stay in my bed for a week. I have to go take care of some stuff, so you're just going to sit in my bed. Her body physically makes her stay there. She took all of her meals in his bed. The only time she got up was to go pee and stuff. No word on whether showers are mandated or not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Where they pee? Do they pee in a hole?
Oh, no. No. All these
They have
Fey
running water?
All these Fey books have running water. In fact, at some point they brought up
Is it not drinkable?
at some point they brought up electricity, and I was like, y'all got that? One time Sarah's brought up butter, and I was like, you have butter in your desert world? Y'all are making dairy? You know how much water that takes?
Y'all got cows?
Y'all got cows? Y'all got water for all that dairy?
I'm starting to figure out why you have issues. I don't care too much. Your priorities.
This is a resource delegation issue.
So you got butter and you got alcohol, but you ain't got no water.
So when Fisher returns, she's like, why would you make me stay in your bed all week? Are you evil? And he's like, if I was evil...
Come on. Do you want me to read it for you?
No, I didn't do the direct quote, so you can't. If I was evil, I'd use your oath to my advantage, and I'd be... He says that he would be up in her wet folds.
Okay. But earlier he said he wouldn't need to. She would be begging for it.
Mm-hmm. He did say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does a lot of talking. Not much going on up here, though. So
There's not enough blood flow.
it's all going directly downstairs.
It's too huge.
Too
much blood in his
bricked up.
massive boner.
Oh, it's like 7 feet long, just like he is. That would be funny if his dick was part Quicksilver, just like his eyeball. But in like an ironic way. This book would try to make it sexy too, and then lose me. So she's like, well, did it ever occur to you that I'd want to help you against the vampires? They're so evil. And I'm an alchemist. I can use my alchemist powers to help you.
Which, by the way, has he been teaching her how to do that?
Not really.
Fucking idiot.
He explodes in black shadows and then pushes her up against a wall of books, and they start aggressively making out.
Perfect timing.
It says that he smells like mint and midnight forest.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all,
So somebody showers.
I wonder
I'm
if
not trying to obsess over this. It's just-
I think you should, because it opens itself to a lot of questions, the way that it's written. Do you hate showers, Callie Hart? Are you anti-shower? Do you write your men being anti-shower for their women, but then have them take showers themselves? Do you think that men are less stinky than women? All, normal questions that you should ask during a book review. So he smells like mint and midnight forest. Okay, you can smell like mint. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, how does this bitch of all people know what a midnight forest smells like? There's no
It
forest.
rained one time.
There's no forest, and there's no midnight in her world.
Mm.
Also, does a midnight forest
They have Yankee Candle.
smell differently than the forest at 11:30 p.m.? Discuss.
All the dew.
The dew that pops up. Why are we saying dew?
No, why you're copying me.
The dew.
All the dew.
Does the dew that pops up between the hours of 11:30 and midnight make the make the smell difference for is it more pungent
I don't
at
know. I
midnight?
live in a city.
Well,
I don't fucking know.
These are just basic questions that I'm asking.
We'll have to go camping and figure this out.
We need to test this theory.
Let's find a forest.
They run into this woman named Dania, not Sedania, just Dania. They run into this woman named Dania, and she's like a former friend of Renfis and Kingfisher and them.
Can they smell her coming?
And she's like, where have you been? But she says, where have you been the last century years? In all my century years, I've never seen a typo crop up this much. None of them, except his friends, Renfis and Everlane, somehow the two of them know where he was the last 100 years.
Does he even know?
Yeah,
hell. He was in hell.
He was in hell. Right.
remember
Hell. He's like, I'm not going to tell you. And Renfis is like, just tell them. He's like, no, I won't. I had no choice.
Have
just
you
know
ever
that
heard of the Teletubbies?
It was with the Teletubbies.
I filled in as their son. It was horrible. It's like the Vegeta's version of hell.
Mm-hmm. Our son would love that joke. Dania is about to hurt Kingfisher because she's so mad that he was gone for the last century years. And so she goes at him with her sword. And Saris makes her sword explode.
Where have you been, Loca?
So Saris makes Dania's sword explode. And Dania is really just here to be like the shitty woman who we don't like. Because why would we make women...
But it's the only character you do like.
I mean, I was rooting for her to succeed in chopping off Kingfisher's head, I'll say that much.
Which one?
No. She explodes Dania's sword, so now Dania's important sword is out of commission. Then there's a river that cuts across the land that separates them from the vampire land. So the vampires go into the river and they're like, hey, bitches! They're like talking shit across the river. Who pops up across the river but Malcolm? And Malcolm's like, Fisher, I miss you. I miss you, baby. He's a high fae vampire. And she's like, oh my god. Was Kingfisher with that guy the whole time he was gone? I'm like, well, he just said, I haven't seen you in a few weeks. So yeah, probably. If you put 2 and 2 together, which I know math is difficult. If you put 2 and 2 together, 4. So she asks him questions like, where were you? And he's like, I can't tell you. And then for some reason she's like, you hate me, but also you want to flirt with me and you want to fuck. And he's like, I can still hate you and want to fuck you. And then they're fucking.
Just do it then.
He takes off his shirt, but it says ripping the smoky material off. So that begs the question, was his shirt made of shadows? Was he making a shadow shirt this whole time? And he just undid it.
So hot. It's sweating.
My hoo-ha is sweating just watching him.
I've never sweat like this before. It's like some Magic Mike shit.
Oh god. He says, remember tomorrow when you're so sore and you can't remember your own name that you asked for this. The size of his dick is so big.
Always.
It makes her eyes round out of her head, it says. It just rolled.
It's like a cartoon.
I kind of think that
It did an awooga. So it says that his dick is rigid iron wrapped in silk. And then he looks at her cooch and he says, such a pretty flower blooming just for me. Great. I love it. You know what flowers need? Water. So she actually says, I could use a shower because they're sweaty and gross. And he says, don't you dare finish that sentence. This is going to be an American classic.
This is so hot. I can't wait to see this on Netflix.
This is going to be an American classic.
This is going to take over.
I love that for us. So during sex, of course, it says, this wasn't just an orgasm, this was an awakening. I wish that it wasn't just an orgasm. I wish that it was a shower. I wish that she had just been allowed to shower. And then he says, hold on tight. I hope you're not afraid of the dark.
I can't control my shadows.
So he puts it in and he calls her a witch.
Okay.
I just watched the light leave your eyes.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they...
It's been gone for a while.
Okay, so afterwards, I'm not going to read you the whole thing because it's terrible.
Oh, come on.
But afterwards, she notices that above her boobie, there's a tattoo that used to be on his skin.
How'd that get there?
How'd that get there?
Shadow magic?
And he's like, nah, I'm not gonna. She's like, just shake hands with me and we'll exchange it back. And he's like, I'm not gonna shake hands with you. And I'm like, you're not gonna shake hands with her, but you'll go down on her showerless. So they talk about birth control afterwards, not before, certainly.
Of course, as you should.
It's a perfect timing.
Perfect time. Yeah.
Great. She's like, oh, I'm sterilized. I'm from the 3rd ward. We're the poorest. So Madara makes us girls, 7 out of 10 girls, be sterilized when we get registered at birth. So they're registered, but they can still ward hop. Her brother, Carrion sent her brother to a different ward after she left. They can just leave, but they're registered. Doesn't that pose a problem?
Probably not. I would assume not.
Not in this world.
Yeah.
He goes, his face falls and she can tell that he's upset. And the reason he's upset is unclear to her. You just said that because you're poor, you're sterilized against your will at birth. And you're confused as to why the dude you're telling this to is sad. So she has to have it explained to her by a dude. Not even in this scene, but later.
He's like, I just wasted my seed.
She has to explain to her, have it explain to her why it's wrong that she got sterilized. And and this doesn't make sense because later we find out that her mom was a rebel. So you would raise your kids to know that it was wrong what happened to them. But no, because she just doesn't think of this as an abnormal or wrong thing. It just doesn't make any sense. They're working on her starting to do alchemy. And
holy shit.
She's the most powerful alchemist ever recorded.
Wow.
Yeah, shocking that the main character who's been doing fuck all is also the most powerful alchemist ever recorded. He has this gaggle of friends that I call the Wolf Gang because they're the Lupidus, whatever the fuck. They're the Wolf Gang. And
No werewolves?
there's no werewolves yet in the series, but they wear a wolf on their shit. Badass. And so Danya, who was about to cut Fisher's head off, but is still allowed to live, by the way.
It was attempted murder.
she gets basically kicked out of the Wolf Gang, and Carrion gets to replace her. And Ceres has been making special swords imbued with Quicksilver, and she's been convincing the Quicksilver to imbue itself into these new swords. And they're like, well, we like different things. So one of the Wolf Gang, the Quicksilver's we'll allow you to bond us to the weapon if the person that we're going to bond to sings a song. So of course she gets a bard to join and he sings it a song. And then Carrion is this hypersexual funny dude who she fucked once before. So when he gets to join the Wolf Gang,
He has to fuck the sword.
he does not have to fuck the
Does he
sword.
fuck this-
No, he doesn't fuck the sword. He tells it dirty jokes. And then it accepts him. But there's more to Carrion than meets the eye. I'm about to run out of notes and have to do this on the fly. Carrion calls Ceres Sunshine. And out of fucking nowhere, Shadow Daddy pops in and he's like, she is not the sunshine. Don't call her that. She is the morning mist. She is the morning glory. She is sunshine, sunset, perfection. She is everything, not just sunshine. And Ceres is like, oh, that was weird. I didn't realize he was fond of me.
Okay, thanks.
So then tell me why in the next scene, he goes to see a healer and she thinks, is that his girlfriend? Bitch, you guys bone. And he said that you're the morning glory. You are poetry. You are everything. You are all. But he has a girlfriend. No, you're really, the time in the 3rd really just, everything up here, dilapidated.
It's all the alcohol. Brain cells gone.
Tells her later, I don't feel like I deserve to be a ruler. I'm brooding. And also, you won't talk to me anymore. And he takes her to his apartment and his mom's apartment. And they fall asleep. But when he wakes up, he's screaming bloody murder because... Exactly.
I'm just copying your voice.
That's my Shadow Daddy voice. So the Quicksilver in his eye is terrorizing him. And he's like, make it stop. And so she's talking him through this. And then she, in order to take his mind off of it, tells him about her mom, who was a rebel and also a sex worker. So
she just
well, she tries to talk to the Quicksilver and convince it to come out. And it's if we leave, he dies with us.
I got his brain here. I'm all up in his brain.
But then this also gets retconned later because the same healer he went to see teams up with a witch to take it out of his eye.
Okay.
Yeah, well, but the Quicksilver said, we cannot come out. If we come out, he dies.
They fooled her.
I guess.
The Quicksilver fooled her.
That would have made more sense, but that's not what the text said. So she tells him about her mom and how she was a rebel who would get water somehow. And she was also a sex worker.
Rebel. I got water.
Water rebel. So before the quarantine happened, her mom used to take guards from the hub as clients, but then she got sick of being oppressed and stopped taking the guards as clients. The guards beat her to death and pissed on her body. Ceres saw this, and so then they also condemned her.
Where'd they get the water for that?
They condemned her mom's house, put the entire ward under quarantine. because Ceres's mom wouldn't fuck guards anymore. The mom was battling classism, but not the forced sterilization, apparently. I don't know. I'm out of notes, so now I have to wing it. They hook up again.
Of course.
And she ends up with more tattoos. But there's like two different kinds of sets of tattoos. There's like tattoos and then there's like these weird like runes on her hands. So she goes and talks to...
Are her hands all fucked up like his in the cover?
the hands on the cover are so messed up. But no. Oh my god. The cover is so bad. It's not even AI. It's just badly placed together. Like, I don't know. What's that called? Rendering? It's just really bad. It's like somebody else's head on somebody else's body. And then we tried to put a sword there. But then somewhere in like taking that guy's hands and putting them with that background, like pieces of the hands got missed. It just looks really, really bad.
She has more tattoos.
She has more tattoos now. She goes and and he's like, they're temporary, they'll go away. So if you just wait, they'll go away. She's like, well, that's weird. That feels weird. She talks to the same healer who he was talking to, who she's like, is that his girlfriend? Which obviously fucking not, but okay. She notices that she also has similar tattoos. And she's like, so what
you
are...
son of a bitch.
She's like, what are those tattoos? And she's like, oh, I have them with my mate. And she's like, oh, so did they just appear? She said, no, they're tattoos that used to... They're mimicking tattoos that used to pop up when there was like a god bond between mates. Or some shit. And now it's just sort of like honorary, but they don't just pop up on their own anymore. They do now because Ceres and Kingfisher are mates.
Love that.
Across the river, the vampires are there.
Just beyond the river bend?
Just around the river bend. There's Malcolm, the vampire. There's Malcolm's son and Everlane, which is Kingfisher's sister. And she's like, I can't come back to you. I'm enthralled, which means she's like bound to Malcolm, the vampire king. She has like a I don't know, like a collar around her neck or some shit. And they're like, well, what do? We have to go get Everlane. We have to save Kingfisher's sister. Kingfisher's like, I alone will go and sacrifice myself because I'm Broody. And all Malcolm wants, the Vampire King, is to get Fisher back because he's an evil bi guy, I guess. I don't know. It's not really explicitly stated.
She's got a booger.
So Kingfisher leaves to go sacrifice himself. So they end up going to this arena where Kingfisher is stuck and he's about to be imprisoned. Malcolm, the Vampire King, is there. Bellicon is there, who reveals he's been working with Malcolm. So the entire war, I guess, is a farce. It's all fake. But also who's there? Madra. Queen Madra. Just hanging out. They're all friends.
She's like, oh shit, what's up?
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense how Madra acted at the beginning versus how at the end she's pals with the very Fey who are in charge, who she said she was afraid of. None of this makes any sense.
None of it tracks.
So it turns out that Kingfisher, when he was gone for 100 years, it happened because he came upon Malcolm, and Malcolm was like, I'm going to kill all these people, or you can do it. And then when this coin falls, if it lands on heads, then I get my way. If it lands on tails, you get your way, or some shit.
That's how all wars should be fought.
What Malcolm did was he made the coin perpetually stay in the air. It never hit the ground. He built a maze around it. Kingfisher for 100 years has been running through this maze trying to get to this coin to make it fall down to the ground to end the fact that like these people in this city are perpetually burning alive, I guess. Madra, of course, is sexually harassing Kingfisher, of course. And he's like, I fucking hate you. And this is where he says, you spayed my mate when she was a child.
Just picture the cat meme.
What?
The cat meme.
You spayed my mate when she was a child. So Sarah's is like, oh, I didn't realize he was so bothered by that. And I'm like, bitch, you didn't think it was wrong you got forcibly sterilized as a child until a man pointed it out to you? Are you well? Are you hydrated?
No.
Never.
Hasn't showered
Are you
either.
showered?
Musk is getting
When
to him.
Saris finds out that you can take a shower and drink the water out of the faucet at the same time, that's gonna blow her mind. It's gonna change her life.
You would have loved running water.
Rest in peace, Saris. You would have loved shower heads.
Whoa.
Oh, I didn't mean it like that. Fuck! They all get sent into the maze. And there's this creature that has like the head of a centaur or something and like the body of a scorpion. I feel like I'm listening to one of our kids explain one of their dreams.
This is a drawing.
This is a drawing. It's got a centaur head and a scorpion body, and it has lightning powers.
Is it really?
No.
Oh.
But it can't see you, it can only hear you. So they like have to be quiet and get around it. Then they end up in this room full of coins that look just like the coin that is perpetually like sitting, right? So in the reason that Kingfisher was able to get out was because there was a Quicksilver pool in the middle of the arena.
How convenient.
Yeah. So when Ceres opened the gates back up that Madra had closed with Solus the sword, he saw the Quicksilver pool and he was like, goodbye!
About to raw dog this flight real quick.
Ceres realizes that she can just call out to the Quicksilver in the real coin, right? So she calls out to it and she has to backtrack because she realizes that it is inside the body of the scorpion centaur thing. So she has to like...
Still flipping?
I think so. As long as that doesn't touch the ground.
I can't wait to see this.
So she... on this big screen? Oh, I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm gonna get a new TV just for this.
So she... The thing is dead. She reaches into its body, pulls out the coin, and who shows up? Malcolm.
What the fuck?
Malcolm the vampire. He's like, oh, you bitch! And, you know, of course, makes more comments alluding to how he's in love with Fisher. He's like, our Fisher. She's like, ours? He doesn't ask you not to shower before he goes down on you. That's a special thing between he and I. Malcolm kills her. Her soul teleports to... This is where it gets wackadoodle. Her soul teleports to the gods. And the god of chaos explains to her, hey, listen, you weren't supposed to be born in Zilvaran City. You were supposed to be born in the same world that Fisher is. You're mates. True. I separated you because there's this thing that happens in every branch of every universe where you guys meet and get together is that everything goes to shit. So I thought if I separated you, that wouldn't happen. He's like, well, you guys are mates. I'm hoping that, you know, now since things are different and you know, the gods won't be able to see you and maybe the fates won't be able to manipulate the timeline, that nothing bad will happen. I don't know. Want to go back? Bye! And the reason that she's able to stay alive is because Malcolm's son turns out to not be a bad guy and bites her, turns her into a vampire. So she is vampire Fey now. Malcolm is dead. They killed Malcolm. She killed Malcolm. And then when she wakes up, she is in the vampire city. And she's like, what are we going to do? And they're like, well, you're going to have to explain to all these people that you don't want to be their queen. The end. Okay. Really looking forward to the movie.
The ending wasn't as bad as the rest of the book.
No, I agree. I think that the other parts of this are not bad. I think that once we start spending time with them, the author won't be able to... It's like that thing from The Dark Knight where he's like, I'm like a dog chasing a truck. I wouldn't know what to do if I caught it. That's this. Like, once she actually gets time to spend with these things, she's not going to be able to do anything good with them. So would you read it?
No, watch the movie.
What was your favorite part of me explaining this to you?
Like what part of the book?
Yeah, anything.
Nothing. The ending?
The fact that it ended at all. Yeah, I
like the idea of alternate universes and stuff like that, and two characters being destined for each other no matter what the universe.
Me too. I don't hate the idea of a chaos god either.
Yeah.
I just feel like the Pantheon was really underutilized. Like, the only times that it comes up is like Fisher walks past the statues of the Pantheon and he flicks them all off, and it's like, wow, you're so hard. What a babe. Say hi.
Yeah, I'm supposed to show our kids on the internet.
You're right. I shouldn't be showing our children on the internet. Oh, a sweet baby. She looks so happy and thrilled. Well, thank you for joining me for this episode of Fairy Porn.
Never been so thirsty.
Thirsty is what this book actually should have been called. Actually, that's not bad. It's not bad for a title.
Thirst.
Maybe I'm just dehydrated.
Aren't we all?
After this book, absolutely. Did you know that actually somebody specifically, 17 days ago on Goodreads, specifically requested that I explain this book to you? I
didn't know that.
They went into my Goodreads comments, will you explain Quicksilver to Carlos? And I'm like,
Yeah, thanks, fucker.
This is your fault! Somebody wished this ill upon you. Okay, thank you for being here and allowing me to destroy what brain cells you had left.
Yeah, there's only a few left. Can only do this like 1 or 2 more times.
You weren't on the channel at all last year.
Yeah, I know. What a shame.
I didn't get to terrorize you with any fairy porn last year.
What a year.
Except in conversations.
What a year. We're starting this one off with
starting with a bang.
Absolute bang.
This week was his birthday. And
Happy birthday.
This is my gift. You're welcome. Okay, that's it. Leave your comments and questions down below if you made it this far. A sword for Ceres' sword that she just conveniently was in the room with.
The only cool part.
Pulled it up. She King Arthur'd it. Okay, thanks for watching. Questions and comments go down below. Like and subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Say bye.
No.
This is the part where you are supposed to scream.
And before I go, I have to say thank you for being a friend to my Therapy Bills patrons are Alexander, Andy, Ashley H, Astra, Brittany Bobitney, Call Me Kodiak, Cami, Chocos, Homesick for Taiwan, DJ Rocktopus, Ellie, Emerald Dodge, Eric D, Jess, Joel White, John E, K, Kaleno K, Casey McKenzie, Katie M, Quinn, Lady Kittybug, Lady Chips, Lemon Jelly, Lex, another Lex, Lily, Mataraptor, Max B, Megwin Rose, Melissa, Minby, Mixer Boneless, Alice, Peggy Lou, Rain, Ree, Reese, SJ, Samar, Scarlett, Spoopy, Steph Bowen, 3 raccoons in a trench coat, I love that name, Tori, Urchin Audrey, White Raven 13, and Zorvictia. Thank you all so much for being here and for being a friend. And last but not least, I have to say thank you for being a friend to my potato starch Marxists, and those are Alejandra, Alicia Needs a Nap, Alistair, Althea, Amanda D, Angelica, Artie the Ninth, Ballads and Bookends, Beck, Blythe, Bookish by Jenna, Bookish Rabbit, Bree, Kate B, Caitlin, Carlin, Carly, Casper, Kate W, Catherine, Kathy, Claire Online, Cole, Colleen, Corwin, Courtney, Darius, Danielle, Desiree Michelle, Dorothea, Is Not Like Other Girls, Drive-By Thinker, Ebby, Emily A, Emma, Aaron with 2 E's, Fiona, Gadarn, Gilf Enthusiast, Halia Artisan, Hannah C, Harpy Curo, Helen P, Harising, JM Tennant, Jay is on Olympus, Jelly V, Jello Salad, Jen Michelle, Gender Queer, Jenny G, Jessa Sue, Jill, Jojo Bookish, Juicy Wizard, Kai, Catherine, Katie, Katrina, Kaylee, Kayala, Kendra, KMTB, Laughing Cat Dog, Laura is Angry, Lauren G, Lazarus Ray, Lindsay, Lisa B, Lisa L, LP, Lou Siri, Lustful Octopus, Martin, Maddie, Madison, Man Eating Plant, Megan, Malara, Mentally Unwell, May, Mima Who, Myth Lesbian, Never, Nicole G, Nicole R, Paige P, Pandemonium, Paul, Penelope, Penny Chilling, Foxglove, Plague Carrier, Pandemonium, Queen Cereal, Rachel B, Reba, Rebecca, Rebecca R, Rhea, Ronnie, Rosie Thorns, Rowan, Sakoria, Sadie, Saintbringer, Sakyalume, Sarah H, Sarah the Bear, Shamed, Shannon, Sheen Onion, Sean, Sophie L, Stardust, T Delegati, Talia, That Nerdy Mystic, This Is Not a Trap, Tiana, Too Thick to Work Today, Trash Can Teddy, Triple M, Tito Phoenix, Unicorn Jenny, Wobbs, and Writer A. Thank you all so much for being here and for being a friend.